house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 18 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Ashley Macy. Where are you going? And Ashley has a couple questions. I'm sorry I didn't get to you sooner because these questions are about the roadkill, but maybe they'll bring the roadkill back for next season. We don't know. So Ashley wants to know, do I think that the roadkill being in play makes people more likely to volunteer to go up as pawns? Yes, because of course the roadkill brings in that third nominee, so, you know, there's more of a chance that you're going to be safe if you go up on the block. So I think that definitely opens the door up to more pawns. Good looking out. Also, she wants to know, if I was on Big Brother and I won the roadkill, would I tell anyone that I won? That's a great question. I would like to think that I would have at least one ally that I could tell and trust that they wouldn't blab it to everyone, but I definitely would not want the whole house to know because I feel like that could create some issues. But let me know what you guys would do in the comments, and if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Alright, so last night, Da'Vonne was sent home. She did not have the round trip ticket. It was disappointing. Alright, and then they left us hanging with that HOH competition. No pun intended. So, when the feeds came back, James and Bridget had already fallen off. And that means that they are have-nots for the week, along with Corey, who was the third to fall. That's 2 weeks in a row for Corey, and he's like a mess as a have-not because he can't fit in that freaking bumper car. Alright, so then the fun part about this competition was, like, whenever somebody would fall off, the trolls would come out and, like, beat them with those "you suck" paddles. I mean, they weren't like, ugh, but they were like, eh, eh. So it was a lot of fun. But anyway, you settled? But anyway, a little while later, Michelle starts losing it. She's just like, oh, I'm feeling so good, you guys. She freaking starts puking, but stays on the thing for another minute, and then finally she's just like, I can't. She falls off, pukes some more into a bucket, and then she's crying, A, because she wanted to win, and B, because she doesn't want people to start calling her Vomit Crybaby. She just kept saying, like, I am the Vomit Crybaby, I guess. Yeah, she was upset. So then, a little while later, Nicole falls off, and she just barely misses falling into that puke pile. Can you imagine? Okay, not only are you out of the competition, but also you're covered in someone else's puke chunks. That is disgusting, but luckily for her, she missed it. Okay, so then a little over an hour into the competition, Zakiya drops. She was looking real solid for a while, but she just couldn't do it. And then Paulie drops out, like, right after her. Really? So it definitely looked like he was just trying to make sure that Zakiya wasn't going to win this one. That is sketchy as hell. Zakiya should just be like, Seriously, though. So then it came down to Natalie and Victor, and they were both saying, like, I just want a letter from my mom. Please let me have this. And they were like, no, no. So then they both tell each other that they're safe for the week. That doesn't work. So then Natalie was straight up, like, begging Victor to drop. She's like, I'm not going to win any other competitions. Like, this is my only competition that I'm going to be able to win. Please let me have it. I want to, you know, get the letter from my mom. And Victor's like, well, I've already been evicted, and I really need to win this. And I want a letter from my mom. So, that was happening. They just kept going and going for a while. Natalie the whole time was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. But she still stayed up there. But I gotta say, Natalie was hitting that you suck thing really hard. And Victor was basically just, like, pushing off of it. So he was, like, hardly touching it. And I think that that had a huge impact on the outcome because Natalie was really taking a beating. But she ended up falling about 2 hours into it, which means that Victor is the HOH this week. I'm sorry, I'm not thrilled with that. So after the competition, Victor promises not to put Natalie up this week because she hung on for so long, and he respects that. Alright, so after the competition, they go back into the house. PP meet up in the storage room. to plan out Victor's HOH for him. Isn't that so considerate of them? So Paulie's like, yo, our boy for right now, Victor should nominate Michelle and Zakiya. We'll get rid of Zakiya. So that will separate the girls, and then we can scoop up Meech for ourselves. So freaking Paulie, who's getting all this action from Zakiya and using her, is like, let's get rid of her. Alright, so then Paul is like, okay, that's cool, but then we need a plan B. What if Zakiya is saved with the power of veto? So he's saying we should get Bridget up on the block in her place. Bridget becomes the new target, and we get rid of her. Paul is like, no. No. So he's saying Bridget is on our side. Let's keep her for a little bit. Maybe she can take out Victor for us or something. Let's hold off on that. Let's put up Natalie as the replacement and then just get rid of Michelle instead of Zakiya. Alright, so we already see it. Some, headbutting in PP. So then Michelle was very upset. The whole puking thing, the not winning the HOH thing, but also rewind. She didn't know that Day was going home this week. She was on the wrong side of that vote. So she's talking to Zakiya in the bathroom area. She's crying again, and she's saying, like, we would have voted Day out if they had only told us. And Michelle is like, I'm going home this week. Like, I'm out of the loop. This is not good, on the wrong side of that vote, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, and it's all because of that one comment, Whispergate, when she said that Nicole, Corey, and Paulie were whispering. She's like, that's why I'm going to go home, and it's so messed up. But, like, how did they not know that Day was going home? Because there was a lot of talk about it. I feel like Michelle was kind of in denial. Zakiya has her head up Paulie's butt. I don't know. Like, because Paulie told her multiple times, I'm voting Day out. And you should know by now, Paulie gets what he wants. That's how it's been so far. So I don't know why Zakiya was not addressing that with Michelle earlier in the week. But then Zakiya was telling Michelle, oh yeah, Day told me yesterday that, you okay? That she thought that the votes were going to flip, so I thought, like, maybe it could happen. What about all the times that they told you they were voting out Day? That should have been a clue, right? Am I right here, or am I, I think I'm right here. But anyway, Paul was trying to be slick with Michelle. Michelle was all like, oh, I didn't know about the vote, blah, blah, blah. And Paul is saying, I didn't know about the vote either. Like, I didn't think it was going to flip like that. I was so dead set for Bridget going this week. And now I'm pissed because things did not go the way that I was planning. Not really. So he's totally playing it off like he had no idea this was going to happen. And Michelle is eating that up. So she's saying, yeah, I feel betrayed. I can't believe she's buying this crap. So then Nicole tries to save face with Michelle. I don't think Nicole had the magic that Paul did. She's like, yeah, I had to get rid of Day. Because Day was targeting her and Corey, and she could not keep her in the house. It's too big of a threat. So then she was telling Michelle, I didn't want you to be angry if I told you that I was voting her out. And then she was saying, like, she didn't think she would be able to get Michelle's permission. Like, you need Michelle's permission. So Michelle's just like, well, I feel betrayed by you guys because I would have voted with you if you had only told me. Like, what's the deal with that? So Nicole's like, oh, well, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm sorry, or whatever. So then it's time for the guys to meet up in the safari room, a real bro chat, minus Corey. And they're all on board for Zakiya to go this week. And if not Zakiya, then Michelle. So then James is like, oh, wait now. Oh, do we have Paulie's blessing? And Paulie's just like, yeah, you can get rid of Zakiya. Okay, so then James reports back to Natalie now that he knows the plan for the week. So they meet up in the storage room, and he's telling her, hey, baby, you're safe this week. And it's all because you're close to me. They're not going to mess with you. Wow! Take all the credit for that. So she tells him, like, James, you better not screw me over. Don't do it. So he's telling her, like, no, Zakiya and Michelle are going up on the block. We're golden right now. It's all good. So he's telling her everybody wants Zakiya out this week, and Natalie's pretty shocked to hear that Nicole wants Zakiya out because she thought that they were best friends. Not anymore. All right, so Zakiya, this is an interesting conversation. I was very excited for this conversation. So Zakiya's asking Paulie, like, what the hell's going on? What was up with that vote, first of all? And Paulie's like, I was very clear this week with who I was voting out. And I have to say, Paulie was very clear with it earlier in the week. He was telling Zakiya, like, I want Day out. But then the last day or so, he was all, I don't care. I'll do what everybody else wants. So, I mean, it was a little misleading, but I do think that he made it pretty clear that he wanted Day out. So then he's telling Zakiya, like, oh, it might not be so bad for you that you voted against everybody else because, say, nobody has the round-trip ticket. That's done. Maybe they'll have a jury buyback. Maybe Day will come back, and she won't be mad at you because you voted for her to stay. So she's just like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. So then she's asking him, what was up with you falling in the competition right after me? And he's like, oh, well, I just messed up. Like, I wasn't throwing it. And what? I didn't do that because I was making sure you weren't going to win. What? All right. So then they're talking about this week, the nominations, and Paulie is acting like he has no idea who Victor's going to put up on the block when he's the one making the decisions. So we already know that Paulie has been saying Zakiya's got to go. But he's telling her, oh, Victor and Paul are mad at James because he threw the HOH competition, so maybe he'll go up. And then he's telling Zakiya he's going to push for Natalie or Michelle to go this week. He's like, yeah, I'll remind Victor of Natalie's goodbye speech, and that'll really piss him off. And then he's like, I know Michelle's your girl, but, you know, we should get rid of her. And Zakiya is not saying no. She's just like, okay. All right, so then it's time for Victor's HOH room reveal. He got the infamous letter from Mom that he was like, I need this letter. His music was Drake. As soon as you see the text, reply him. That's right. He got some Mardi Gras beads that he was really excited about. He got one of those, like, jester hat things. He was really into it. So now that he has his room, it's time for Victor and PP to discuss their master plan up in the HOH room. So, of course, they're talking about getting rid of Z or Michelle this week. Z would be the primary target. If they can't get her, get rid of Michelle. So then they're talking about the following few weeks. And, you know, James is really popping up on this radar. They're like, we might need to get rid of him in the double eviction. They're assuming that it's going to be next week. And this time they're right. So they're saying James only thinks about himself. I'm pretty sure that James is definitely thinking about Natalie too, but you know that doesn't count. So if you're not thinking about the rest of the guys, you're only thinking about yourself. But anyway, and shouldn't you be thinking about yourself? This is a freaking game for money. But anyway, they're saying get rid of James, but keep Natalie around because she sucks at competitions and she'll be easy to beat. So then they decide they want to call themselves the board. So this is just for Victor, Paul, and Paulie. Now we know that Paul and Paulie are always talking crap about Victor. More so Paulie than Paul, but both of them. So this alliance, I don't think it's for real, but of course they're going to milk it this week while Victor is the HOH. So then they were being real a-holes up in that room. Victor was drinking some of his beers that he got in his basket. Fine. But then PP, they're trying to convince Victor to do some like crazy shit at the nomination ceremony. They're like, you should totally throw your Mardi Gras beads at Z and Michelle after you nominate them. That would be freaking hilarious. What is wrong with you people? I'm moving on. So, Michelle and Zakiya chatting in the have-not room. They believe that Paul was blindsided by the vote this week. Are you kidding me? But they don't believe Nicole. So at least that's a step in the right direction. But why are you believing Paul? He's freaking carrying on, having a great time with these people that supposedly betrayed him this week. Come on. Use your heads. So then Zakiya is saying that she's going to continue to cuddle Paulie because she wants to freaking milk that situation. She's going to use him for all that she can. Sure, that's why. But Michelle is like, yeah, in the same light. She wants to get closer to Paul. She thinks he's a solid guy, and they could use him. All right. On the flip side, she cannot stand James right now. She feels like he's annoying. He's cocky. I think she's still mad that he sold her out to Paulie and was, with the whole Whispergate thing. This is going to become important again in a minute. But Nicole then explains to Zakiya why she voted out Day this week. It's the same conversation that we heard with Nicole and Michelle, but this time it was Zakiya instead of Michelle. And Zakiya had already heard this whole explanation from Michelle, so it's just like, whatever, throw that away. All right, so last night, it was like 4 or 5 in the morning, can't remember. I think it was closer to 5. Michelle and James start arguing. Now, this has been building up because, as we know, Michelle is all like, James is annoying, bleh. And James is like, Michelle sucks. She can dish it out, but she can't take it. He doesn't like that she's playing that crying game. So she's all upset that she wasn't in on voting out Day this week. And James is like, he's trying to tell her, he's trying to sell this, that everybody decided on their own to vote out Day. And there wasn't like this group that decided we're going to get rid of her and not tell Michelle and Zakiya, which is a lie. So then he's saying, like, I had to vote out Day because she told me that she was targeting the couples, and I am in a showmance, so I didn't want to keep her. So then, I mean, they go on and on for a little while, but I think they resolved it at the end because James ended up agreeing that he would vote for Michelle to stay if she's up on the block this week. So I guess they, like, kind of settled things, but did they really? So then James is telling Paulie all about his conversation with Michelle. And Paulie is like, wow, Michelle's a loose cannon. We should get rid of her this week. So before, we see Paulie saying hardcore, like, this is what's happening. We're getting rid of Zakiya. She's the target. But now he's saying Michelle. So he totally flips. He's saying, we don't know what she's going to do if she were to win HOH. Zakiya, we'd be able to control. And James is totally down for this. So it's like a total flip. All right, so today, care package delivery, and James got it. All right, so he gets to eliminate 2 votes at the next eviction, and then he also got random stuff like cookies and undies, whatever. Nicole was not taking this well. With Natalie getting last week's care package, and then James, and they're like in a showmance together. Nicole's just like, well, what about us? Like, do people hate me? So she's freaking out about it. It's a little bit petty, but whatever. So then Paulie, James, and Corey were chatting, and this is interesting. Paulie is really setting himself up here with all the guys. So when Paulie is talking to Victor, he's like, we gotta get rid of James. And when Paulie is talking to James, he's like, we gotta get rid of Victor. So it's interesting. They were, of course, talking about getting rid of Victor. So they're like, to do this, we'll throw the HOH to one of the girls, let them take care of it, but not next week, because first they want to get rid of Michelle this week, and then take out Bridget next week. But this is interesting because we know that Paul still wants Zakiya out this week, so it's kind of similar to last week when we've got Paul and Paulie, difference of opinion. Will Paul cave again and let Paulie get what he wants? Get what he wants? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But they had nominations today. Victor did end up nominating Michelle and Zakiya. When those feeds came back, somebody needs to give Michelle some waterproof mascara because it was like, it was crazy. There was mascara everywhere. But I gotta say, like, Michelle and Zakiya did not even talk to Victor at all before nominations. What happened to, like, old school Big Brother when you talk to the HOH no matter what and you try to, like, just talk to them? I don't know, you don't have to try to strike up a deal, but at least be like, just check in, like, maybe don't nominate me. They didn't even try, and that's just, like, really sad. But I know that Victor was planning a ridiculous speech, but I don't know if he actually went through with it or not. We'll pick it up there tomorrow. I will let you guys know, but let me know what you guys think of this turn of events. And until tomorrow, much love.